Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see you. We've got several people coming in already in the chat and probably a bunch of lurkers coming in. So glad to be here. Feels like it's been a long time. I think all those two-a-days I've been doing made it seem like when I took a day off that, or, most of a day off, that it was like 2 days or something. I don't know. So I just want to welcome you all here. I I was telling Mischief I had a little mishap this morning about 6:30. Mark and I were just laying in bed, just relaxing and talking. And my puppy, she's like 25 pounds now. So she's a Australian or mini Australian Shepherd. And she like just pounced at my face and scratched my eye with my eyeball, actually, with her claw. So if I'm, wiping tears and stuff tonight, you'll know why. I didn't dare put any eye makeup on. It's a mess. But so I may struggle to read a little bit because that's my better eye. It's like, gosh, it's real blurry right now because I think it's just swollen. But I think I'm going to go to the eye doctor tomorrow and have it looked at. But so anyway, I'm excited, guys. This is a new, topic for this channel. We've never had somebody on before that, well, we've had somebody on before that does tarot cards, but we've never talked about it. So we've had other subjects that we talked about. But so anyway, I'm really excited for that. Her name is Christie. She has Conversations with Christie, and her link is in the description, or in the chat. If you have not already, please do go sub to her. She's hilarious and beautiful and just a sweet, sweet person. I really like her. So anyway, I'm going to do a quick roll call, and then we're just going to get started so we can get Christie out here and get to talking, because y'all get tired of hearing me. I'm on here all the time. So thank you, Mischief, for being here. She's in the back. She's going to be starring questions and comments. So if you have questions or comments, please put Q or C or something in front that'll kind of draw our attention to it. And also, I did run a trigger warning. I don't really think that this would qualify, but you never know. Some things do trigger people. And so if this does, because it can be kind of a sensitive subject for some people. So I went ahead and put that there. And so please, if this is a subject that you are just not comfortable with, please feel free to step out and come back a different day, or to watch on the replay where you can watch in little segments or something. So whatever you need. And if it's not for you, then that's fine too. No hurt feelings. So Heat My Shorts, good to see you here. Always good to see you. Christie's in the back, so she'll be out talking to us in a minute. Believe in yourself first before anything. I absolutely love that name. I marked that one myself, start it so that I would not miss it because I wanted to just be like, that is maybe the best name. That and Heat My Shorts. Those may be my 2 absolute favorite names on YouTube. So, anyway, um, oh, here we go. Lord Kiss Freak, it's always good to see you. Yes, it is gonna be a great live. Christy is awesome. She absolutely is. I've only got to talk to her a couple times, but I've really enjoyed it both times. So, yeah, let's see here. You notice that Lord Kiss Freak, he mentioned Christy, but then he comes back later and says, "Oh, hi, Susie." Like, so I won't get my feelings hurt, I guess. Uh, no, I'm kidding. I mean, he did, but, I wasn't gonna get my feelings hurt. Hey, Joel, good to see you. I always love it when you're here too. Lynn, it's good to see you. Oh, it's morning where you're at. It's like 7 in the evening here, a little after now. Yeah. Doing it Deb's way. Good to see you too. Y'all, if you haven't been to her channel, please go sign up to her too. And you all, while I'm thinking about it, any of you that have channels, after the live is over, go to my comment section and just type in there, hey, click on my picture to go to my channel. And that is a direct link straight to your channel. And if they haven't already subscribed to you, then they can. It's a great way to get a few extra subscribers here and there. You just never know. Sometimes people just haven't heard of you. Hey, David, good to see you too. Davey, good to see you. Oh, goodness. I'm like I've got my head kind of turned so that I don't look out of this eye too much. Nova, goodness, it's getting late where you're at, isn't it? It seems like it's getting later there. You don't often come in whenever I'm doing these late ones. So it is good to see you, though. Okay, Cosmic Connection, good to see you too. And let's see. Mysterious Mayo, good to see you. Eat more pizza now. Hey, good to see you. I'm always glad to see you guys, and I feel like I need to come up with something besides good to see you. Good to see you. But I am. I'm glad to see you. Yeah. Okay, Kelly Williams, glad you're here. See, I changed it up a little bit. Okay, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Don't forget to mark those questions and comments. There will be a section before we close out that we will, be welcoming questions and comments. Christy's very up to answer any of your questions if you don't know what certain things are or, things to do with tarot and everything. This is your chance. We've got somebody right here in the house with us that can answer all that. Yeah, Davy, she is. She is the best. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start and see where this goes. Okay, so hi, everybody. Welcome back to our channel. And if this is the first time, because you just kind of stumbled across this, I'm glad to see you. And if you've just stumbled in, you have come at a good time. This is going to be fun. So today we're talking about something that might make a few people raise their eyebrows a little, might plop a few Bibles open. But guys, I'm a Christian too, and I know that some of you are. And I'm sitting down tonight with someone who identifies as pagan spiritually and reads tarot cards. So if anybody, I should be, uncomfortable, but I'm not. I'm completely comfortable. I'm open to hearing what her story is. I've always been kind of interested in that kind of stuff, just like, how does this work? And, I don't know. I just think it's fascinating. I'm really into any of those kind of anything. Well, any kind of a religion. I study all of them. But any kind of, I don't know. I just love everything. So anyway, so yes, you heard that right. And no, this is not going to be a debate. We are all going to act respectful and kind and remember that we're adults who can have those kind of conversations without any trouble. There'll be no spiritual wrestling, I promise. No fire and brimstone, and definitely no surprise exorcisms. Not tonight, y'all. Not happening. I'm here to listen, to learn, and to have an honest, respectful conversation. the kind where you might not agree with somebody on everything, but you walk away with a little more understanding than you had before you started. And so sometimes that's just enough. Like you don't have to agree, but just kind of understanding kind of takes away the fear, I think. So if you're curious, skeptical, or somewhere in between, just pull up a chair or your bed or wherever you're at. And, this is going to be a good one. I'm really excited. So now I would like to welcome Christy to our stage. One of these days, I'm going to get good where I can just like pop people up there real fast. Hello.
It's tricky.
It is. So I'm so glad that you're here. I really am. I have been looking forward to this ever since we set it up. I've been like, okay, this is going to be fun. And I've had some really, serious shows lately. So to do this one where I just think it's
Yeah.
fun and you know, teach us all something, I just think that that's I'm looking forward to it. So welcome. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here too. I feel like if we can show the world how to have a respectful, honest conversation,
yes.
I think that's so important. And I just want to thank you for you have just been so kind to me. You and I want to give a shout
Oh,
out to you to doing it Deb's way. I was in her
yes.
chat for a couple shows. She was amazing. So
Yeah.
I come from a belief system where sometimes people aren't always super kind when they find out like
Yeah.
how I believe.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to be able to be here and, answer questions and,
Yeah.
share. And,
Yeah.
I loved your intro. I thought it was
Oh, well,
amazing. I
thank
thought it was
you.
really beautiful.
Thank you. I've been really trying to start out with a little something to just kinda like, if it's gonna be a lighter conversation, to kinda start out light, and if it's gonna be a little heavier, to kind of move them into a little bit heavier without just like, boom, So, it's something I'm trying out. It's something I'm trying out a little bit.
Right.
So
Right. Well, I liked it. I
so,
thought it was great. So
yeah. Did you like the song? Did you like that?
I loved the song. Yes, it
Yeah.
was really good. I think everything
Yeah.
is just so great. Your intro was so pretty. It was beautifully done. So yeah, I loved
Yeah.
it all.
I love our song. I wrote the, lyrics just you just put them into this app, and
Yeah.
it does the music and the singing and everything for you, and it does it with all these different, styles of song, and I
Yeah.
really liked a couple different ones, but that just felt peppy and happy and everything, and I thought, "You know what? Even if we're talking about something heavy, it's not gonna hurt to have
Hmm.
something a little bit happy to begin,"
Right.
kind of, and then the
Right.
outro's the same way. The outro's kind of, get you because man, some conversations can be really heavy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's good to have an intro that reflects your channel because no matter what
yeah,
you're talking about, it's still your channel and it should
yeah,
reflect you. And so,
I think
yeah.
so too. I think so too. Well, I am really excited. I would like to see if you could just tell us just a little bit about your background, maybe your spiritual journey, how you got to where you are today. And as much of that as you want to tell or don't want to tell, like as far as your
Oh,
past or anything. I'm not one of those
yeah.
pushy people that's like, tell us everything. I kind of just go
Well,
whatever you want to say. I don't care.
I'm the nosy person who wants to know everything, so I always tell everything
Yeah.
because I'm like, you just as well know.
Yeah.
So my name is Christy, and so I actually spent 30 years in the Baptist church. So I was born on a Thursday, and I went to church on a Sunday, and I didn't leave for over 3 decades. And
Wow.
we were that church family. So my cousin was the preacher, my mom was the piano player, my dad was the song
Oh,
leader, my
wow.
grandpa was the head deacon, my granny was in charge of ladies auxiliary. I was there Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, every youth revival,
Yeah.
every tent meeting, every camp. I went to it all. We drove because I was born in Kansas and I lived there until I was
Mhm.
15. So we drove all over that state. Well, I'm back in Kansas right now. So we drove all over this state, going to everything. At one point, I actually thought I might maybe want to be a preacher's wife, but people who know me were like, Christy, no, you would not be a good preacher's wife. And even then, and it was just because, as my mom says, I tell the cow how it chews the cud, right? Like I just lay it all out there.
Yeah.
And I think there's a certain amount of
Me
grace
too.
that you have to have if you're going to be a preacher's wife. And like, that's probably not the grace. But
That's
taught
a big
Sunday
job.
school.
That is
I
a big
know.
job. I
Yeah.
grew up in the Baptist church too, and I was friends with
Yeah.
many preachers' wives over the years. And I'm telling
Yeah.
you that's a full-time job. I mean,
Right.
honestly, I think they work more than the preacher does because they
I
have to be
agree.
on when he's getting to rest. They still have to be on taking care of the
Yeah.
children, and everything's got to be
Yeah.
just so.
Well,
Yeah.
and mine was always like you'd have to have an immaculate house because you never know when somebody's like going to
Yes.
drop by with some sort of crisis or something. And that's the point where I just kind of gave up the ghost and I was like, yeah, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. But yeah, I got saved when I was young and baptized into the Baptist church. And
Mhm.
I really didn't question how I was brought up. I mean, it was just the religion of like both sides of my family. So
Yeah.
my like I'm one of the only people on both sides of the family that's been divorced, me and my one uncle. Everybody else on both sides has
Yeah.
stayed married, so I never
Yeah.
really questioned like what I believed or why. It just was very much what I was taught. I knew the
Mhm.
Bible, I taught the Bible.
Mhm.
And then so Michael, my husband is my second husband. I was married once before, and when we got divorced, it was very nasty. It was a horrible
Mm.
relationship. I was diagnosed as bipolar and put on a bunch of medication that I didn't need for a condition I didn't have.
Mm.
Because at one point, I felt like I would be a better mother not on this planet than being on this planet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's kind of what led to that. And then I found
Yeah.
out my dad had colon cancer, and
Mhm.
this was after the divorce. And my oldest daughter and I moved in with my mom and dad, and my brother moved in. I've got three children. My ex kept the two youngest because just emotionally, when I got divorced, it was very bad. I weighed 89 pounds. I had
Oh,
disordered
wow.
eating. I had all kinds of stuff going on. And mentally, I couldn't. And so I went from that to I had a little bit of time to heal to then I had moved in with my mom and dad to help take care of my dad as he battled and ultimately, crossed over due to colon cancer. And after all of that happened, I really started questioning some things, but not a lot. Uh, and how I kind of came to this journey. And guys, I mean, I read them all. Billy Graham,
Yeah.
John MacArthur, Dr. David Jeremiah. Like when I tell you that
Yeah.
I was in it, like I mean,
Yeah.
I really was. And what happened was, so I was born in 76. And so Nirvana was like the band when I was really starting to get into music. And I loved Nirvana. And my favorite state is Washington State. So we were in Seattle, and I made my husband drive to Aberdeen, where Kurt Cobain is from. So I could see
Yeah.
his childhood home and I could see all of the things. And as I got closer, like something in me just started changing my energy. I started feeling funny. I didn't know what it meant. I got really angry, like really, really angry and just snotty and mean. And I can be snotty and mean,
Hmm.
but this was like extra snotty and mean. And so we got down there, and it didn't go the way I wanted. And we got to
Yeah.
this bridge, and it was like this Kurt Cobain park. And it was like as soon as I stepped onto the land, I felt like this like from 2 stories up, this weighted blanket just hit me. And I got
Mm.
depressed. I got like there was one point where I was walking down a path, and the bridge. So you know how bridges get like there's like this embankment, and then the bridge is kind of like this, and then the river's right here, right?
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
was this person under this bridge. And my husband, I'm a photographer, and my husband was like calling to me to come under the bridge to take a picture of all of the graffiti. And as I was walking to go under, I felt super uneasy and I didn't really know what was going on. And it was like I just hit a brick wall. Like I could not go any further. And I looked at this
Mm.
person under this bridge, and this person looked at me, and and again, guys, like in the church, right? I was like, that is not a human. Like I don't know what that is, but that is not like that's not okay. Whatever that thing
Yeah.
is. And so I called my husband. I'm like, we're leaving now. You know, it was like 4 hours from Aberdeen to Seattle. It's like a 3.5 hour
Wow.
drive. I'm not even making it up one way. So we drove back. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't like something just had changed. I didn't really know what it was. And
Mm.
so I ended up calling a couple of my friends that I knew had a more spiritual path than what I had had. And I was like, look, I don't know what is going on, but something isn't right. It's not okay. And they're like, go get some Palo Santo, like clean your energy and just, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Because I had been praying and like it hadn't changed. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know. And so one of my amazing friends, I knew that she was more spiritual, but she was very safe for me to ask all kinds of questions to. She wasn't into any of this like hoodoo voodoo that you do kind of stuff, Like I
Yeah.
knew she
Yeah.
was going to be very honest with me,
Yeah.
and I started asking her a lot of questions, and I started asking her about like what had happened and what was going on, and so she encouraged me to explore the more spiritual side of that experience, that I, before had not really been so open to, because I was very like, it's this way,
Yeah.
like, here's my blinders, it's this way, and nothing exists outside of this. Like, that's just how I believed. And
Mm.
as she started like sending me information and kind of like, she never told me what to believe. She's like, you need to figure it out on yourself. And you guys, it was really hard for me to untangle 30 plus years of being in the Missionary Baptist Church of what I
Yeah.
actually believe, like tarot and dreams and all of this stuff. Like, how did it fit? Where did it go? What did it look like? Like,
Mhm.
did I even believe in God anymore? Did I even believe in Jesus anymore? Did I believe in heaven? Did I
Yeah.
believe in hell? Like what happened?
Yeah.
And it ended up to be a very beautiful journey. And I think what was so beautiful about her was she never once told me what to believe. There was no
Mhm.
book that she gave me. Like there's no Bible. Like
Y yeah.
Wicca is more of a religion than just kind of paganism, and they do have like their own version of a Bible, but like
Yeah.
that's not like that's the thing is like on this path you just kind of figure out a lot of stuff like what resonates with you and what feels right to you.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of things. And I remember talking to my brother, he's 3 years younger than me. And I didn't tell him the struggle I was going through necessarily because my family is very rooted in the Baptist church. And I
Yeah.
knew that if I went to my brother and I was like, hey, that he would be like, okay, you know what? Like
Yeah.
don't bring that around my children, don't bring that around my house. So I asked in ways that didn't really like, we've never had that conversation. I think they have a pretty good idea, but it's one of those things too, if you don't ask then you don't know, and you don't have to tell somebody that you love and respect, don't come around.
Yeah.
I respect them
Yeah.
enough that I'm not going to bring that into their house. Like I am not gonna,
Yeah.
so there's a respect and an understanding there that's like, believe what you want to believe, just please respect where we are. And I absolutely
Yeah.
like respect that completely. But I asked my brother, I was like, well, what about, because I started having these dreams and all of this stuff, and I remember this is what my brother said to me. He goes, he said it talks in the Bible in the book of Revelation about in the end times your daughters will dream dreams and your sons will prophesy. And he's like, dreams are important. I mean, Daniel interpreted dreams, Joseph interpreted dreams. That's how
Yeah.
Joseph got out of jail. He's like, so dreams are of God. And he's like, and it talks about spiritual gifts in the Bible. And he goes, it doesn't
Yeah.
list out all, I mean,
Yeah.
it lists out some, but that's not all that there is. And
Mhm.
I think that was kind of the permission that I needed to like really explore it more. And so that's kind of where it was. And then it ended up on a journey of, I kind of went down a wrong road unintentionally, and learned a lot of stuff that way of like, okay, nope. But
Yeah.
a lot of what I learned was like ancient Lakota teachings, just being one with nature,
Yeah.
their creation story. It really, everything really changed, but there's a lot that's still there. And even on my channel, this is one of my favorite stories to tell. There's a particular card in the tarot card that's called the justice card. And so the justice card is about presenting like documented facts, right? So the story that I tell is like King Solomon. There's two women came to King Solomon, both saying that they were this baby's mother, and
Yeah.
King Solomon, in his wisdom, said, cut the baby in half and you each get a half. And one lady was like, I'm down. And the other lady's like, no, 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 no. You know what? She can have the baby. And King Solomon's like, that's the mother. So that's
Mhm.
not what that card represents. That card would be like the justice card would be like King Solomon sitting there going, okay, so I want the birth certificate. I want the doctor that was in the room, the dad, the mom, the brother, the sister, like to bring
Mhm.
the justice. So I do integrate different parts and different things because I don't think you just get 30 years of that like yanked
Yeah.
out of you. But I do see it, differently. But I also want my channel to be a place that's very welcoming to everybody. Like I always say, I don't care who you love. I don't care which pronouns
Yeah.
are. I don't care what you believe. I don't
Yeah, me
care
either.
because I think where we're at in this world, there's so much divisiveness. There's so many people
Yeah.
that need healing, so many people that need love. And there might be people that are exploring, is this really what I believe? And do I believe? And maybe you don't believe what I believe, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
But it's a safe place to come and learn and just kind of like know what it is.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I got there. And then it's been an exploration ever since. Like it's all of the things.
Yeah. So, gosh, did you ever figure out about the whatever that was under the bridge?
I did. So, so I believe. So here's where where we're going to be common. I do believe in angels and demons. I do believe in healthy and unhealthy spirits, right? And I do
Yeah.
believe that when you do a lot of drugs or things like that, like
Mhm.
what it does is it opens up your energy to
Mhm.
kind of have those things come in and just kind of like take up residence. And that's what that was. It was just a very unhealthy energy. I'm not going to say it was a demon. There's
Yeah,
not
but I
like
know what you mean.
demons hanging around every corner,
Yeah.
but it definitely was. It very much, and I think that's what scared me the most was because I had never seen that. Because like John MacArthur talked about, I grew up in a Baptist bubble, y'all. Like I was
Mhm.
around people. I mean, I went to public school, but I was around people that believed the way I did, talked the way I
Mhm.
did, dressed the way I did. Like there wasn't a lot of diversity there.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to go to other churches or anything like that. Like there was a lot of strictness in how I grew up, but I didn't know what that looked like. And what I've come to learn and understand is that, as I'm sure most of you have, you get shown something or you go through an experience and you come out the other side and you're wiser. And then you get the opportunity to share that experience with someone else. And
Mhm.
so from that point on, it was just a bunch of different experiences that allowed me to one, understand what things looked like, and how they could appear and what they could look like and what they could do, and to really understand it. But yeah,
Mhm.
it
Wow.
scared me to death. I was like, oh, you know, very scary.
Yeah, I imagine. I'm just, like, thinking about, like, how that would feel because we had similar, upbringings with the Baptist church and everything, and, to just suddenly like kind of have that like tossed on its head, and
Yeah,
the beliefs don't leave you, and yet what's
right.
this? And I get it. I can't seem to find the words for it, but I do get it.
No,
So,
it's
um,
yeah.
so in all of that, I understand the the journey. How did you discover tarot, and how did that come about? Like, was it just like, I don't know anything about it. Like, how does that work? I
Oh,
mean, do you just like pick them up and you know what you're doing, or do you have to like study, or, just tell me.
so I actually, this is my tarot deck, so you guys can see.
Uh-huh.
There's no
Yeah.
like real scare. I mean, there are scary cards, but like just so you can
Yeah.
kind of see what a tarot deck looks like if you've never seen one.
Yeah.
So my friend that was most kind to me, she
Yeah.
goes, you know what? She goes, I'm taking you to, I call them a witchy shop. They're metaphysical stores.
Yeah.
You can find them pretty much
Yeah.
anywhere. From here on out, I'm going to call it a witchy shop. All right. So
Yeah.
she took me to a witchy shop in Fort Collins, which is where, we were, we'd come back to at the time. And she bought me some crystals and she let me pick out some cards and a book and whatever I felt called to. And it was so weird because I'm like, what am I going to do with this
Mhm.
rock and the cards? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I did not pick out tarot the first go around. I was terrified of tarot. So I picked
Yeah.
out this, like, they were uh, like these oracle cards,
Mhm.
and then I was like, no, you know what? Like it just didn't feel like it was enough. And so then I reached out to her. I was in Wyoming. So my husband's job takes us all over the United States. So my job bounces us
Yeah.
around, or his job bounces us around a lot. Not my job.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
I was in Wyoming and I reached out to her and I said, will you go back and get me this fairy tarot deck? Because it was fairies. And I was like, that felt a little safer to me than like just
Yeah.
the traditional tarot deck, right? Because in the traditional tarot deck, you do have cards like the devil card, you've got the
Mhm.
tower card, got some cards that look very intimidating. So I got the fairy tarot, and I was reading it, and it wasn't clicking. It was like, no, I need more than this. So I went into the witchy shop there in Casper, Wyoming, and I walked in, and I just word vomited all over this this poor woman, and I'm like, I don't know what I need, but like this isn't enough. It's not like we're not clicking. So she recommended the Rider Waite deck to me, and I took it home and I got the book and I started going through it and I picked the scariest cards to me, that were the scariest cards. And I just stared at them. And I was like, okay, like what's going to happen to
Mhm.
me? And you know what? Nothing happened. No thing, like, I didn't conjure something up. No
Yeah.
thing showed up at the end of my bed. Like the world didn't collapse around me. Like Armageddon didn't happen. Jesus didn't
Yeah.
come back. So I was like, okay. And yeah, yes, you do. So the tarot deck has the major arcana, which are, think of those as like big archetypal energies. So those are energies that, like, of the addict, of the mother, of the warrior, the hero's journey. Those are big energies that anybody can embody. And then there's the
Mhm.
four minor arcana, and those represent the elements of the zodiac. So you've got swords, which represents air signs, cups, which represents water signs, pentacles, which represents earth signs, and wands, which represent fire. Now, I want to say something here. There is a difference between a pentacle and like the devil's star.
Yeah.
All right. And I want to let everybody know. So a regular pentacle is just a star with a circle around it. And it actually
Mhm.
represents coins. Okay. And yes, pentacles are used in all kinds of things, but it's not
Mhm.
this panic thing. That is the
Yeah.
one with the inverted. So it kind of comes up and
Yeah.
it's like a goat head. So I want to be clear about that. So when I talk about pentacles, I'm not talking about I'm drawing cards with a bunch of
Yeah.
like these satanic stars,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there are differences in just even in that. But so the minor arcana tells a story about our everyday lives, right? So swords represent intellect, they represent betrayal, they represent clarity. Cups represent emotion. So there's a lot
Mhm.
of like confusion, sadness, happiness, great happiness. You know,
Mhm.
wands represent passion, fire, resources. Pentacles are very slow moving. They represent those earthy signs. So, taking a long time to do things, luxury, abundance, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So they tell that's kind of like the story of our lives, right? And so
Yeah.
tarot has a lot behind it. So tarot was originally created in Italy in the 1400s,
Mhm.
and the Golden Order of the Dawn, there is a lot that goes into a tarot card. So there's astrology behind every card or
Uh-huh.
a planet. There's symbolism. The colors mean something. It's all tied to astronomy.
Mhm.
So it was very much a way to get divine guidance. But I want to also say
Mhm.
this: it's not fortune telling. I cannot tell you the winning lottery numbers. If I
Yeah.
did, y'all, there would be a sign. I would have red bottom shoes.
Mhm.
You would see me wearing those things to the Walmart, right?
Mhm.
It's not fortune telling. It reads the energies as it is right now. There's a lot of ethical things that go into reading tarot as well. Karina, she's someone that I collaborate with a lot on my channel. We actually teach a tarot class where we go through every single suit, every single card, and we teach you how to read tarot, what it
Mhm.
means, how to work with it.
Mhm.
So yeah, and it's just a tool of divination. It's just for divine guidance. Um, some people read chicken bones. If you're from Appalachia, chicken bones might be a thing. Runes, it's
Mhm.
it's just another way to kind of tell a story.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of ethical stuff to it too. It's you do have to learn it. You do have to study it. It can be overwhelming when you kind of look at those
I
78 cards.
bet.
You're like, whoa, wait a minute,
Yeah.
what's all of this? But it's really helpful, and it can give you a lot of really good messages. But there's like we don't there's so I should say this too: a good tarot reader is not going to read around death. So not going to read around when is
Yeah.
somebody going to die, when am I going to die.
Yeah.
Guys, we're not God, we don't know that. We don't read around health. So like, do I
Mhm.
have cancer, is this person fixing to
Yeah.
die? Again, we don't know. A big
Mhm.
one is like, am I going to get pregnant? I don't know. Like, I hope, if that's what you want. But the reason we don't read for that
Yeah.
is you could get pregnant, and then something could happen to that pregnancy, right? Like,
Yeah.
we don't know. We also don't read like financial stuff. People will come to us and be like, how should I invest my money? I don't know. There's a place called Charles Schwab. Like, go check them out, because
Yeah.
like trust me. Um, so there should be some ethical things too around tarot. Like, people should say,
Mhm.
these are the parameters. There's also free will. I don't, Susie, if you're like, what is my husband
Yeah.
going through? Yeah, I don't know. You need to have a conversation with your husband.
Yeah.
I can
Exactly.
read around you. Like, it can get very voyeuristic, dropping into
Oh,
other
yeah.
people's energy. It's kind of like spying on somebody. And you don't do that. Like, that's just not,
Yeah.
that's not how we go about it.
Yeah.
So
It's really
yeah, so
funny
there's
that
a
you
lot
mentioned
to it.
that. It's funny that you mentioned that because I did a little bit of research just so that I would, like, recognize words and, that
Yeah,
kind of stuff and not be completely, you know, in the dark. But it talked
right.
about the ethics of it, and I really
Yeah.
liked that it talked about that a good, tarot reader would, is ethical, that they wouldn't read about certain things and all that. So it was, I was glad to hear you just bring that out from the very beginning
Yeah.
because I mean, that's something that's,
Yeah.
I had forgotten it. I had forgotten that it even said that till you said it,
Right.
and I thought, "Wait a minute." Yeah. So,
Well, and
oh, go ahead.
it's just a very important part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading my, cards. Okay, so I'm trying to mark down
Yeah,
questions that we've already had. Okay, so tell us a little bit of the misconceptions that people have. I know that a lot of people automatically go to, like the devil and all this kind of stuff. So can you just tell us a few things that on top of what you've already said, about the
right.
misconceptions of it? Because people are scared of things. We've been
Yes.
if you've been brought up in a very Christian home and church and everything, you're terrified to try anything new. And so I
Right.
honestly was terrified to try anything new for a long time until I
Yeah.
actually had an experience with a ghost. And I
Oh,
mean, like
uh-huh.
literally, I had a experience with a ghost, and I know it happened. It was not an
Mhm.
evil ghost. He was very
Right.
friendly, Casper the Friendly
Right.
Ghost kind of thing.
Right.
His
Right.
name was
Yeah.
his name was Sam, and,
Uh-huh.
it was really strange because in my head, I could hear this ghost tell me that his name was Sam and just, like,
Mhm.
very, like, just put off, I don't know, funny, mischievous
Mhm.
kinda air about this ghost, and then
Yeah.
months later, I read a book. We were in Savannah, Georgia.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Uh-huh.
ghosts everywhere.
Right. Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And so, months later, I was reading a book that had just a lot of different ghost stories in it, and one little section in the book was about the pub, Sixpence pub.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
That's where I picked up the ghost. So, of course, I, like, see Sixpence, and I'm like, you know, "What is
Oh,
this?"
yeah.
There's a ghost in the Sixpence. His name is Sam. He was a Confederate soldier, very young, very
Mhm.
mischievous, very mu all this stuff, and he hangs around the Sixpence, and he'll, like,
Right.
leave and go with you, but he goes back to the Sixpence,
Right.
and, like,
Right.
he'll be gone, and they'll be like, "Okay, we know he's gone off with someone because he is not here right
Right.
now," you know? But, yeah,
Right.
so until and whenever I told my Baptist, friends and stuff that, oh my
I can
word.
imagine. Like, don't tell anybody.
We don't talk about these things, and I'm just
Right.
like, "Oh," they were probably like,
Right.
"Susie was drunk. Susie was off drinking. What else were you doing?" Because yeah, they were not happy about Sam. They were not
Right.
happy at all.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
that
Oh
that
gosh.
that in of itself told me that there are things out there, that there are other
Right.
possibilities, and that it doesn't have to mean that I'm wrong, that you're wrong. It doesn't have to mean
Right.
anybody's wrong. And
Right.
so, anyway, sorry, I just kind of took over your conversation for a minute,
No,
but
no, no, no. I love it. That's beautiful. And that is one of the misconceptions is that,
Mhm.
like all ghosts are scary and mean and bad and like
Not
out
at
to
all.
get you. And they're not. And I think
No.
a lot of the misconception is that, witches like only wear black and they look very dark and they're like these
Yeah.
evil kind of things. Like, I'm not joking. If you've been on my channel, you know Mindy, but Mindy is my best friend. I'm actually at her place right now. Uh, we've been friends. I'm 49.
Watching
We
her
have
40
been
dogs.
right. Yes, watching her 40 dogs while she's on an international. She's living it up in the Dominican Republic. but
Wow.
um, but uh, this is how she describes me. She goes, "My friend is a witch. She's a real witch, but she's not like the Wicked Witch. She's like Glinda the Witch." And I'm like, "Is that
Yeah.
what you say to people?" That's how you describe me. Okay, of all the things you could say, that's what you pick. But I think the
Well,
first thing is that not all witches are scary people that are like out to
no.
like sacrifice your cats and steal your children. It
No.
is it, there is black magic and there is dark magic, but it's not as prevalent as everybody thinks. It is out
Yeah.
there, but it's
Oh, yeah.
not, it's not as prevalent as everybody thinks. And I think a lot of uh, I think just a lot of it is that like we're like our souls are just doomed to hell. And
Yeah.
like, I will tell you this. I've been told I was going more to hell since I've left the Baptist church than any sermon I ever heard in the Baptist church. And
Mhm.
it makes me chuckle, and this is like my shitty side, because I'm like, but do you know that? Because you don't know my story. And if your name
Yeah.
is written in the Lamb's Book of Life and it never leaves, then actually you're wrong. But
Yeah.
like so I think the biggest misconception is just that, this is our faith. And I think the biggest misconception is just that, okay, I think this is a good, I've been thinking of something that I wanted to say, and I think this is a
Mhm.
good place to say it. So hang with me here. I'm going to take you on a journey. Don't
That's fine.
fall off
Fine.
fall off the train. If you do, flag me down. All right. So in the Christian faith, right, you have heaven and you have hell, and those are the two places. There's only one way to get into heaven, and that is to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, confess your sins, call on Him, invite Him into your heart. Right? That's it.
Mhm.
That's all. You can't work your way there. Can't earn your way there. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you cure cancer and save all the homeless people. If you haven't done that, you aren't
Yeah.
going there. In order for us to go there, right, for Christians to go there, there had to be a blood sacrifice, right? In the Old
Mhm.
Testament, this was from animals. When the New Testament came along and Jesus came onto the scene, he
Mhm.
was the one that paid the ultimate sacrifice. He was
Yeah.
crucified to save your sins, right?
Yes.
And that was the atonement for everything. And had he not done that, we could have confessed and said all of the things, but wouldn't have gotten there. So those two
Yeah.
things had to happen. Okay. So that's that belief. Now, I believe in Jesus. It looks different now than it used to. I believe in
Yeah.
reincarnation. And I don't believe in like heaven is just like, I don't believe this life is one and done. And I don't believe
Mhm.
in heaven in that way. I believe that heaven is a place that we go to after lifetimes to rest and look at our lives and what we learned, what we missed. I believe in a higher power. I believe that we sat down with that higher power and it's like, okay, Christy, did you learn this? Did you learn that? You missed this. What do you
Mhm.
think about that? How did you do this? And then we go again. There was no price that had to be paid for me to go there.
Yeah.
No one had to die for me to go there. So
Yeah.
when a person of Christian faith is talking
Mhm.
to a person like me, we are on completely separate levels.
Yeah.
I
I understand.
don't believe that had to happen for me to go to heaven. I don't
Mhm.
believe that. And so I think the biggest thing that I would love for everybody to understand is to be respectful. And if
Mhm.
somebody says to you, because I really have truly never met a spiritual person that was just completely crappy. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure they're out
I
there,
haven't either.
but that was
Yeah.
like
But
completely crappy to everybody. They're like, oh, you believe that? Right on. I
yeah.
have met, unfortunately, some people that have been very crappy on the other side. And,
Absolutely.
and that's not a judgment, that's an observation.
No, but
Um, and I just wish that more people, when you said, because like, there's a lot of untangling that had to go on for me. I'm still untangling things. Like, honestly, I had
mhm.
to figure out what God meant to me. Did I
Mhm.
even believe in God anymore or not? And what did I do with Jesus? Because,
Yeah.
and I was living in Kentucky. So, like that's the Southern Bible Belt right there. So, of course, I was getting invited to
Mhm.
church and everybody asking. And, I finally just came up with this thing and I said, I believe in God and I believe in Jesus, just not the way that you do. And you probably
Mhm.
don't want to have the conversation. And it's not because I'm not willing to have it,
Yeah,
it's
no.
because they would be so resistant to it. And I think what I would encourage everybody to do is to respect others and respect yourself and just
Absolutely.
know like what's your business and what's not your business. Because I'll tell you, on this latest spiritual journey I've been on, what I had to learn was there is a lot that is not my business that I was trying to make my business.
Yeah.
And there are certain things in polite society you're never going to ask, right? We all know what those are. We all have enough couth. We're not going to ask those things. But it's like when it gets to religion and politics, it gets really
Yeah.
hairy and
Ugly.
people, yeah. And so, you can pray for that person, but and I know a lot of people who have, well, not a lot, but I know people who have left the like Judeo-Christian faith who have a lot of trauma around that.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, there's even some trauma that I carry. Now, it wasn't like I was abused or anything. It was nothing like
No,
that.
but
It's
still.
just how I interpreted scripture, how I interpreted what I was supposed to be as a woman and a wife. And it was really
Mhm.
hard for me to just figure out that I was a powerful person. And I don't mean powerful like Johnny Depp, like woo, like
No,
I'm not
I know what
talking
you mean.
like that. Just powerful. It was very hard for me to even step into that. And so a
Yeah.
lot of it really isn't as like it's more a lot of spirituality is looking to like the tarot cards. People of faith have a Bible that they go to for guidance, and like, okay, what do
Mhm.
I do? Okay, well, you open to Ephesians chapter 5 verse 19 and you read that. I have no idea what that is, but maybe somebody out there needs that
Yeah.
particular verse. I don't know, but you read that and that guides you. For me, I don't
Yeah.
go to a Bible anymore. I go to the tarot cards to give me an idea of what I'm
Yeah.
looking at, or the oracle
So
cards,
so they're like a tool. Because see, I see my
Yeah.
Bible as a tool. I don't even
Yeah.
this gets me in trouble with my Christian friends because, and I profess to be Christian, I do,
Right, right,
but,
right.
you know, but I don't see it as I see it as a tool. I think that
Yeah.
their man wrote the Bible. God did not sit
Yep.
down with a pen and paper and write down this Bible. And so it's open to interpretation and it's open to
Yeah.
mistakes and that's open to, it has been done into different languages and all, translated. I couldn't
Yeah.
get the word. Um
Right. Right.
and so I always look at it as a tool. So I get that the cards would be a
Yeah.
tool and,
Yep.
there's very evil things in the Bible. I mean,
I mean,
there's a lot,
there's some icky stuff. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I have young grandchildren and, trying to teach them a little bit about the Bible and everything. And it's like, okay, we can't tell them that story because that's kind of scary. Well, maybe better not tell that story either. My poor granddaughter, therefore she heard, I mean, this is so silly and I'm taking over your time again. But my
You're
granddaughter,
fine.
I told her the whole Noah's Ark thing because I thought this is a good little kid story. And so I was and kind of like the whole 2 by 2 with, that
Right.
replenishing the earth and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then, bless her heart, the next time it rained for, like when it hit day 3, this child was
Oh,
like, "We better be building a boat, grandma. We gotta have a boat big enough to put the horses and the cows, and what are we gonna do about elephants?" And I'm like, "Well, we don't have
bless
any
it.
elephants." But I mean, she was like, seriously concerned. And I
Hey,
said, "Listen, that was, I said, in the Bible it says that God said he would never do that again. So it's
right.
not gonna we're
Right.
not
So
there. We're not gonna do that again."
right.
So then I thought, "Oh Lord, what story so now every story that I come up with, I'm like, how am I gonna tell this one without it also
Right.
making her think?"
Right. There
Uh,
was to piggyback off of that, there was a movie. I'm sure some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Thief in the Night.
yeah.
Did you see that? Oh, they decided,
Yeah.
like, this is the true story, y'all. They decided to show that in church when I was like 12 years old, 10 years old, and I sat through and watched it. Most terrifying movie of my life. When people are like,
Yeah.
"What's the scariest movie you've ever seen?" I'm like, "A Thief in the Night." And they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Go watch it." But this is what happened. So we lived
Yeah.
in the country. All right. And
Yeah.
so for those to bring you guys kind of up to speed, it's a story about what happens after the rapture, and
Mhm.
we're living through the days of tribulation, right? So rapture's already happened, and people are left. Okay,
Yeah.
so I am like practicing my clarinet, because that's what I was doing at the time. And literally, like, my family, they must have like walked to the back of the backyard or something where I couldn't see them. I got up to go ask a question. I could not find anybody. The street was quiet, like there were no cars, no people. I couldn't hear anything. I started freaking out. I called my granny and grandpa. They didn't answer the phone. You guys, I was convinced that the rapture had happened. I had done missed it. And that was it. And I mean, I was freaking out. And then my
Mhm.
granny calls back, and then I see my dad, and I'm just like, oh my god, So I mean,
Oh
I
my
get it.
god. Yeah.
Like, there's some stuff, but and it's and we can laugh about that, but that's a really intense
Absolutely. Well,
part. And
I was probably 40, probably, oh, maybe not that old, 30 something years old whenever the
uh-huh,
whole Left Behind thing came out, all
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
books and everything.
uh-huh,
And I
uh-huh,
read those, and I would wake up some mornings and my husband would have left for work and I didn't remember him
yeah,
leaving, and I
uh-huh,
would be terrified. I'd be afraid to get out of bed. I thought,
right,
I'm still here. He has left me. He is gone and I am here. And I was genuinely
yeah.
terrified. So I can imagine as like a 11, 12-year-old what you, oh my
Oh
god.
man. Yeah, I thought I had done missed it. After
Yeah.
that, man, every day I was like, Lord Jesus, I love you, save my soul. And
Please, please
I
take me with you. Please take me with you. Like you're
leave
grasping.
me.
Yeah. I was afraid to get on an airplane because I thought, what if the pilot goes?
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah,
I don't. I was
exactly.
terrified.
It's it
Terrified.
I do want to say this for any Christians out there who really want a good series on the Book of Revelation. Check out Dr. David Jeremiah. He did a whole like deep dive into the Book of Revelation, and it is
Mhm.
amazing. I think you have to pay for
Yeah.
it. I think it's a little expensive, but if that's something you are wanting to learn and understand, he is a really
Yeah.
good person to check out for that. If you if you want a really good horror story, man, I tell you what, watch A Thief in the Night. I went back and watched it when I was
Yeah.
older, and I was like, this is, but I mean, it is, but again, it goes to our beliefs, and
Yeah.
they're real, and they're in us. Now, today, I
Absolutely.
don't view that movie the same as I did, but
Mhm.
back then, that terrified me. Now, I kind of look at it, and I was like,
Mm.
well, I mean, but so yeah, I think to kind of circle back around, it's just understanding that a lot of us in the spiritual community, in the pagan, like, I
Mhm.
know very few people who were actually raised in a pagan household. Most people
Yeah.
have like untangled their beliefs and come from something. So chances are, when you're talking to someone of a pagan belief,
Yeah.
you're talking to somebody that really kind of gets it. I mean, and this is what I
Yeah.
love, is that I don't think most people would expect me to know what I know. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way. It's
No,
just,
I know.
if you didn't, like, if you knew me then, you would never imagine that I was here. And if you only ever met me now, you wouldn't imagine that I
Yeah.
was there. And so I think, just take to heart that we don't know each other's hearts and souls and where we're
No.
at. And I think here's another thing too. So there's a lot of times I'll speak about this. I had some pretty serious trauma in my life where I did not feel seen, and I did not feel heard,
Mhm.
and I felt very squashed and very small. And we can work through that no matter where we're at, on the religious spectrum, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
got trauma and everybody needs to work through healing. But I just want to say, that when people, and they might not always mean it this way, but there was a comment that was made, And I responded, and everything kind of was getting deleted. And it took me back to 27-year-old Christy that
Mhm.
was 89 pounds and really, really
Mm.
sick and terrified and shut down and not seen and not heard. And so I think really what I really, really want you guys to understand is that um, you can really drudge up stuff in people that you never meant to. I mean, I know that this
Mhm.
person that was saying these comments was very much in their faith. They believed that they were
Mhm.
right, and I'm damned for
Yeah.
hell, and I'm practicing witchcraft and all of that. But what that did to me was something that I never expected. Now I'm thankful for it because it gave me an
Yeah.
opportunity to heal on a deeper level, but it really did. It just picked me up and just dropped me back to this place where I
Yeah.
wasn't, I mean, I couldn't even express myself, and I got
Yeah.
so angry. And it, I mean, I was already kind of a little depressed, and it just kind of like kicked it into
Yeah.
overdrive. Not this person. I know this person did not mean,
No,
like,
but still.
they probably would feel very bad if they knew that that had happened. I would hope that they would be like, oh, I
Yeah, I
really
would
did that
too.
to another person. But keep that in mind as you're talking to somebody. Like, you don't know why they left the
Yeah.
church or why they are where they are. I was going through so much in my life that the last thing I needed was that. And guys, I'm a pretty strong person. Like, I help people heal, and I guide, and we talk about all kinds of things on the channel of self and
Yeah.
shadow and archetypal
Mm.
energy and community. And you wouldn't really look at somebody and think, wow, they're struggling with it, but there's a lot
Yeah.
going on behind the scenes that not everybody knows. And man, something about that just kicked it in on me. And so I want you to remember that your heart and your intentions might be in a really good place, but chances are that person has already worked through that and they're good with where they're at. And you might
Yeah.
be doing more damage than good. Now, that's not to say, like, Kat Von D, right? She was in the occult and everything, and she's now saved. She goes to church. She's a
Yeah.
member of the Christian church. There's been lots of people. Doreen Virtue is one. She
Mhm.
used to do tarot decks and everything. She got saved. She got rid of all her took her name off of all of that stuff. So it does go both
Mhm.
ways. And that's
Mhm.
not to say that, you can't share your faith. I'm not saying don't share it. But
No,
I'm
I
saying
understand.
when somebody comes back and they're like, you know what? I was in the church, and I've untangled
Mhm.
it, and this is where I'm at now, and thank you. Like, be respectful of that,
Yeah.
because
I
you
always
could
think of
really.
it I always think of it as kind of that it's okay to share your faith, but it is not okay to
Yeah.
beat somebody with your faith, like to beat
Mhm.
them over the head with it. It's not,
Right.
and I don't care. I mean, I don't care what that faith is, I don't care.
Mhm.
And another thing that I was thinking of when you were talking about it, and I have experienced this. I was the most spiritually hurt by my church. You know,
Yeah.
they caused me um to just absolutely question my faith, to question my position in the church, to question my salvation, to question. And so, it was by our deacons and our pastor in our church, and I left the church then. I still have my faith,
Um,
but I've
right.
not been to church now in, like, gosh, almost 20 years
Oh,
that I don't
wow.
go to church now. And it's because I was just so deeply hurt. They just,
Yeah.
like, turned on me, basically,
Right.
for nothing
Right.
because
Right.
I had questions. It's a whole deal where I was the financial secretary and I said, "Hey, I don't really understand why the youth minister is buying 20 pizzas for him and 3 kids." You know, and we have 20
Yeah.
people. And, but he was taking them to work the next day, you know, and I don't understand why our pastor is, having to fill his car up with gas, drive 7 miles to town, 7 miles back, and then doesn't go anywhere else for 3 or 4 or 5 days, and then has to fill it up again to go 7 miles and 7 miles, you know, I don't get it,
Yeah.
and so, I mean,
Right.
and I did it respectfully. I'm rushing through it right now, but I did it respectfully and everything,
Right.
and they
Right.
They told me to come in after church started, sit on the back row, leave before it was over so that I wasn't talking to anybody, anything. And I was like, "No, thank you." I think
Oh,
not. I think not.
I am
So,
so
yeah,
sorry.
it was crazy.
That's
It was
dramatic.
yeah,
Well, and
it was
you
very
know,
dramatic.
and
So, I
church is a very important thing for women. Women get a lot out of church.
oh, yeah, we do,
Truthfully, it's not that
we
men
do.
don't,
No,
but
but I
women
think women
do get
yeah,
a lot more out of church. I think there's more connection, and so to have, I mean, that's like basically
mhm,
your family treating you really. I'm so sorry that happened
yeah,
to
yeah, it was
you.
rough.
That's
So,
yeah,
and so when you're talking about this and I'm thinking about, from a Christian perspective and from
yeah.
just I yes, I'm still a Christian. Yes, I say I have a relationship with God, not a relationship with the church is how I kind of in my head see it.
There you
But
go. Yes.
yeah. And so I don't know, that's just how I kind of look at it. But I was thinking about this and whenever I was researching a little bit and it was talking about that people of that are pagan spiritually, it said that
Mhm.
it's more about like I'm going to get the wording wrong, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to come up with. But it's more about nature and the world and like the earth and all of that than so much of a being. It's more of
Yeah.
and I thought, well, that's like Mother Nature. I mean, you know. So, but what I was thinking about it whenever I was reading some stuff was that as a Christian religion, because that encompasses so much, everything from
Mhm.
Catholic is considered Christian and
Mhm.
Baptist, Methodist, Lutheran, Church of God, Church of Christ, Church of this, Church of that, everything
Right.
basically until you get into like, Judaism and Islam and all that kind of stuff. But just about
Mhm.
everything
Mhm.
else is considered Christian.
Right.
And if you take this over here and this over here, it is night and day. I mean,
Mhm.
really what you're talking about is closer. It's not necessarily in the middle, but it's a whole lot closer than what some of the other Christian religions are to each other. So I don't
Yeah.
see it as when I'm listening to you and when I was studying some of it, it doesn't seem scary to me. It doesn't seem it doesn't seem weird. I mean, it just seems like it's just another way of looking at stuff, just
Mhm.
and who knows who's right? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows who's right? I don't know.
Right. I
We can
know.
each have,
That's it.
you can have faith that you're right. I can have faith that I'm right. So and so over here, Pope, I'm sure the Pope absolutely believes that he's completely right,
Right.
But how do we know? We don't know.
Right.
That's why it's called faith, you know.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I'm just not I don't understand people that have problems with considering alternatives, considering
Right.
that maybe they don't know everything they think they know. And so, whenever I asked you to be on here, that was what I thought immediately was that, oh, this is going to be a chance to get to actually hear,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
from somebody that's experiencing it. And
Well,
so anyway, I just think it's
and
amazing. I
you're
really do.
and you're right. And I mean, if we look at the Jewish faith, they don't even Christians are waiting for Christ to come back. The
Yeah.
Jewish faith is waiting for him to show up the first time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, like even that. But to
Yeah.
touch on the nature, yes, I actually so my husband just brought back some dirt from the my childhood home, brought back a jar of dirt.
Aw.
I have sand from different places and different kinds of dirt and ashes and things like
Mhm.
that I use that energy when I'm reading tarot or doing,
Mhm.
workings to bring that particular energy in. I
Mhm.
celebrate the Sabbats, which are pagan holidays, but they are around the equinoxes and like Yule. If you look up Yule and Christmas, it's
Mhm.
close,
Yeah.
because a
Yeah.
lot of
Absolutely.
things. Oh, there's
Yeah.
Edgar. There's Edgar. Um, so everything started off pagan and then it became Christian as things were getting
Mhm.
conquered. And as that, the role, and guys, I just want to, I love men. I love my husband. I think masculinity is a beautiful thing and I love it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
men started kind of squashing the power of the women. And then, you get to a point where you're not allowed to
Yeah.
do certain things in the church because of this or that. But
Yeah.
it's about celebrating the moon cycles. I celebrate the moon cycles. I work with nature.
Mhm.
I work with the energy. It's all very natural. It's very holistic and energizing. And you know, um, it's just kind of a different way. My faith in um, instead of putting my faith in one singular
Mhm.
entity like God, I put it into nature and I put it into other entities.
Yeah.
Entity is a bad word. People think negatively. Other
Yeah.
energies. So,
Yeah.
I actually do a lot of work with the Native American traditions and medicine wheels and
Mhm.
grandfathers, and the directions and the earth and the sky and the water. And I believe that everything is here to cleanse us and heal us. And
Mhm.
and I believe that when we're our most confused and we don't know what to do, if we just, and I mean, I don't care if you're a Christian, just go sit quietly in nature and
They say
peace
touch
will
grass.
come.
They say, touch
Yeah.
grass,
Oh, I am all about that. Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
actually, that's what I tell people. Take your
Yeah.
shoes off and take a walk.
Yeah. Well, I'm here in Oklahoma and I've been here, for too many years to count. About 40. Oh God. But my family was born and raised here, but I was raised in California on a ranch. But anyway, so here in Oklahoma, there is a lot of Native Americans. I have Native
Mhm.
American family, and so when I was reading about the whole pagan thing and everything, it reminded
Mhm.
me so much of the Native American belief system
Mhm.
and how what they believe, the whole nature thing and the, dirt
Yeah.
and grass and rocks and plants and just, everything and
Animals.
just
Yeah.
natural, yeah, animals, the whole bit. And so I don't know, maybe that's part of why it doesn't seem scary to me or something. It
Mhm.
seems like it speaks to my ancestors and what I'm around. Around
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And, like, I have a lot of Native American friends who are very much into the whole, nature thing and, again, the rocks and the dirt
Mhm.
and the animals and the whole bit, and yet they also go to church and all that, and somehow
Mhm.
I don't know what they do, but they blend the 2, and so to them, they're good, and I'm like, "You know what? If you're good, then I'm good." Just, you know, I don't know.
They
Um I
they
think that
have things that are,
I think there's a lot to be said for the whole,
yeah.
the Native Americans. I think that there's a
Oh
lot to be
yeah.
said there. I really do.
Um
S
I
so
I
do
agree.
you do you often work with, clients or what I don't know what you call them, but anyway, clients,
Uh-huh.
I guess, that are, Christian or anything, and how do they, like, you know, are they well, I mean, they go to you, I'm supposing, so, I mean, they're open to it, but
Uh-huh.
how do they react to things if they're Christian? Like, see, I wouldn't be
Right.
scared or anything of it, but, I'm just wondering how
Right.
other because 'cause I'm so untypical sometimes, so
No, my friend, so I do have Mindy is, I would still say she identifies as Christian.
Mhm,
But I do tarot readings for her. I've read her birth chart, her astrology chart. We talk about the energies. Um, a lot of times they'll come to me out of curiosity.
mhm,
They want to know what it is. And so um they'll ask a question in a reading or whatever, or
mhm.
and then as they see it start to play out and come
Yeah,
true and these things kind of start falling into line, then they start kind of going, oh, okay, so
yeah,
now wait a minute. So Mindy, she will she will pick up the phone and call me and be like, hey, I need you to, I'm really struggling. Can you light a candle for me? Because there's a thing
Yeah.
called candle magic, which is where you pick a candle of a certain color and you anoint it with essential oils and you set an intention and you can write the person's name on it or whatever.
Mhm.
And then you light the
Catholics do
candle
that.
and you let it burn. And I mean, and again, I think what's important is to remember that when you're talking about magic or paganism or whatever, you've got the white and then you've got the black, which is,
Mhm.
dark magic that nobody really plays in. And then it's a spectrum from there and it's shades of gray. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do. So I have people come to me with some very surprising questions
Yeah.
sometimes. I've had, and I just look at people and I'm like, are you serious right now? No, no, we will not be doing that.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are just kind of curious, want to see.
Yeah.
I have the best example I have is a very, very, very good friend of mine. I would even call him one of my best friends. Um, he got a tarot reading from me, I think just because he wanted to support me, like we were friends and he wanted to, just support his friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in the tarot reading, I was like, are you sick? Is there some kind of sickness? And he's like, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, okay, well, pay attention. You might be like, something's coming up. Just pay attention to your health over the next little bit. And I think it was a couple of weeks later, he ended up getting sick, having something happen. And he was like,
Wow.
okay. And so then when that happens, then there's more questions and more kind of delving
Yeah.
into things. And so a lot of like, and especially with Mindy, she just kind of balanced it. She's like, I believe in God, and I
Mhm.
was gonna say they have Christian witches. Like, I don't know how that
Yeah.
works,
I
but
read about
Christian
that though.
witches are a thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
they very much. And
Yeah.
so I think it's just, I think if people are coming to me as a Christian, it's more like I'm strong in my faith, but what do like
Yeah.
using those tools, like, okay, what do I need to know?
Mhm.
And that's the thing, is like, I'm never trying to convert anybody either. So I
Yeah.
think there's some respect there
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I've got we're to the ethics and boundaries section. You
Awesome.
were talking to me earlier about ethics, where you were talking about that, there's some places that you don't go. And I
Mhm.
really I told you earlier that I found that so interesting before I talked to you actually, that when I was doing a little bit of research, that it went almost immediately to saying that a good tarot reader does take into consider ethics and boundaries, and that there's just some ethics and boundaries that they will not cross. And so I
Yeah.
was just like, so I don't know, it just made me feel good because like immediately that was one of the very first things that you said was you started
Yeah.
talking about the ethics of it and how you won't go,
Yeah.
into like when you're going to die, am I going to get a divorce? Am I going to this? Am I going to that? What's the
Right.
winning lottery numbers? All this kind of thing. And so I was just, I don't
Right.
know, I thought that was great. So I was going to see if you wanted to tell our chat anything about like the ethics of it, things, because you told me, but like if you wanted to tell them
Right.
too.
Right. Right. So, there is, I would say, if you're going to somebody, so the cards aren't going to like tell you on Christmas Eve at 12:02 p.m. a dark-haired man is going to walk in and that's the love of your life. Like, if
Yeah.
anybody's doing that, like,
Yeah.
keep your money and leave. If
Yeah.
someone is saying, oh, I see that the cards show me that there's a dark energy around you, take your money and leave.
Yeah.
There's probably not. Just because the devil card shows up doesn't mean you're possessed. If they're like, oh
Yeah.
my, leave.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like I said, it's just a lot of, like, we get a lot of people who come to tarot readers for the first time. They ask one of two questions: when am I going to meet the love of my life?
Oh, wow.
And am I on the right path? So it's either about
Mhm.
love or am I on the right path? And
Mhm.
I think it's very easy for because you can get personality types. Like, okay, I'm gonna take it down a road. I hope nobody here gets upset. Let's talk about the archetype of a shapeshifter for a moment, okay?
Okay.
So when I say a shapeshifter, I'm talking about somebody slimy, sleazy, somebody that like shows up and tells you everything that you want to hear, everything that you want to know. They look good, they say all the right things, and then
Mhm.
bam, like it just flips on a dime, right? And you're like, what is this slimy, icky person? And I promise you,
Yeah.
every single person in this chat is thinking of someone. Now, maybe it's all the same someone, maybe
A
it's a
lot
different
a lot
someone,
of them are probably thinking of the same one.
thinking of two of the same people, I'm sure. But that's how you know it's an archetype energy, right? Okay. But the healthy side of that would be let's talk about Meryl Streep, right? Love her. So Devil Wears Prada, you did not know where Meryl Streep started and Miranda Priestley like ended. Like she
Mhm.
shifted herself into that.
Yes.
What right? So she could be what she needed to be on the screen or like Bridges of Madison County. Oh, if you guys have never seen that movie, watch that movie. But at the end, when
Oh,
she's got
it's
her hand
yeah.
on the door, I was like, get out of the truck, get out of I've never like yelled at the TV so much. That is a healthy version of a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
So a lot of times in the spiritual community, you can have some of those shapeshifters that are those
Absolutely.
icky ones. And so that's where the ethics come in. If it doesn't feel right to you, leave. You don't have to pay them.
Yeah.
Keep your money, get up and leave. If somebody is here's the other thing, okay, and I think this is important. So let's talk about something kind of obvious that you think of when you think of a pagan, right? Like so hexes, curses, banishments, all of that stuff. Okay,
Mhm.
people can do it. It's something that's taught, and it's kind
Mhm.
of taught because there's two sides to a coin. So if you're going to work in magic, you've got to know how to bring the light, but you also have to understand how the dark works. And again, I'm not talking
Yeah.
black, I'm talking gray. Okay, I'm talking gray.
Yeah.
So um, most people know how to do those things. If somebody just flat out says to you, oh, Susie, this person is making you mad, I got a solution for you. That is not a healthy thing, right?
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to be mindful because there are a lot of those shapeshifters that you
Yeah.
have to kind of watch out for. And we just came
Yeah.
through like right now we're in the age of Aquarius, which is all about like intellect and everything like that. But before that, we were in an age where it was cool to like you see these TikTok witches and YouTube stuff
Mhm.
and they're giving you a bunch of really bad ideas
Yeah.
and they're telling people how to do things that are not ethical. So guys, like it is really big about like free will. Everybody
Mhm.
has free will. Everyone. Do not take it from anybody and do not let anybody take yours. So if
Yeah.
anybody's talking about like, oh, I can do this, it'll bind up that like no, just no. So
Yeah.
that's why the ethics are so important around,
Yeah.
like if somebody were to come to me and be like, I'm having a problem. Like, here's a common one. I want a love potion. Great, don't we all? Learn to love
Yeah.
yourself first. An ethical person is going to say, okay, tell me about you. Like, do you love
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah.
Because you have to learn to love yourself before you can bring love in.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you walk into a place and you're like, I want a love potion, and they're like, $100, like that's probably not where you want to be.
Yeah. So I have just a couple more questions about this, and then I wanted to look in
Sure.
on the starred
Yeah.
comments because we have a lot. So,
Yeah. No worries.
so has tarot taught you anything about yourself? Like,
tons.
have you learned things about yourself because of that?
Yes,
Cool.
I've learned a lot. So tarot, and in the tarot class that Karina and I teach, we were actually just talking about this. We have a
Mm.
class option where you can have a live Q&A with us. And we were just talking about this about tarot. It it teaches you to kind of look inward and to
Mhm.
find that strength. So there's a card in the tarot deck. It's called the strength card, and it's a woman with a lion, and it is the strongest card in the tarot deck. That is the only card
Mm.
that can overcome any energy. It can even overcome the devil energy. And so,
Wow.
what I have done at different times is, if there's an energy that I'm needing, like say that I'm very, very weak, I'm depressed, I'm sad,
Mhm.
I will
Mhm.
I will stick that strength card in my purse. I will put it on my
Mhm.
altar. I will carry it around to bring that energy in. It's taught me. I look at the tarot cards as people. So the major arcana are big people, like the shapeshifter, would be like the
Yeah.
magician card, So like, ooh, look, sleight of hand, and that could be really
Yeah.
cool, or it could be like really slimy. So,
Yeah.
but then in the minor arcana cards, like I see different people, and they resonate in the cards with me. And so when I'm reading, like for example, the Nine of Swords, which is a card that's all about overthinking, anxiety, being in your head. Like, it's a woman sitting on a bed like this, and she's got all
Yeah.
of these swords going up.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
that reminds me of a person that I knew in my life. That card represents that person. So when that card comes up for me, I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm kind of acting like this person did. So
Mhm.
I need to step back. So yes, it's a very personal journey. It's helped me in my healing a lot. It's shown me where I need to heal. It's shown me things that I didn't see coming. Um, it's very healing. I use it a
Mhm.
lot. I use those energies a lot.
Yeah. It's cool. So, what does spiritual peace or connection look like to you in your life?
So that would be connection to the earth,
Mhm.
connection to the directions. So north, south, east, and west. And to me, they all have different meanings, different colors, different meanings. I do believe in a higher power. I mean, I work with goddesses, so it's a
Mhm.
connection to that higher power. But mostly
Mhm.
for me, it's just an earthy, grounded connection.
Mhm.
But an ability to, without drugs, alter my state of consciousness and go on shamanic journeys. So, like,
Yeah.
go back to a past life and learn something, or go meet my higher. Like when I was off of my channel for a while after this whole depression thing happened and everything,
Yeah.
I went on a shamanic journey, and I was actually given a picture of a tool. I didn't know what it was, but as I was on this journey, I was drawing it out of what it was supposed to look like. And it was a Native American prayer stick. And I didn't know what it was. It was given to me by an elder to use in my practice. So now I am on a hunt to find the things that I need to make
Yeah.
this. So to me, it's a very deep spiritual connection. It's listening to my intuition. It's talking about healing. It's about helping people, helping communities, helping society, um, and just really working on getting back to, I see plants and animals as brothers and sisters and spirit guides, whereas in the Bible, you're taught that you're above the plants and animals. For
Mhm.
me, I see it as equal. So it's learning from them. It's just being very connected to nature.
See,
Um,
I think of animals as being equal. I think that,
yeah,
we're just another form of animal. So,
yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I've always thought of animals as
yeah.
equals.
Right,
So,
right, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you'd like to share but before we go to the questions?
Um, No, let's go to the questions and I
Okay,
can't
that
think
might
of
bring up
anything right
something.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That
I'm
I was gonna
excited to
say
see
the
what everybody
questions
wants
might
to
make
know.
it. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
We have 55 of them, 55 comments
I've
started.
got
We'll see.
time. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's fine. I
yeah.
got time.
And some of them will just be comments. It won't all be questions, but. So anyway, Lord Chris Freak did say that this is going to be a great live. That Christy is awesome.
By the way,
Okay,
he was my first ever mod on my channel. He was the first person that I made mod.
really. Aw, he is so sweet. I really like him a lot.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
really
I love
do.
him. He's good.
Yeah, yeah. Mischief is already getting on to me. She's popping them up on the screen before I do. So yeah, there's that one. So let's see here. She gets on to me for not popping stuff up on the screen. I get in trouble. So Heat My Shorts says, I was raised in a Catholic house. I learned really good morals there. Yeah, I'm sure. Thank
And my upbringing taught me, it gave me a really good moral compass. I don't think being raised in a
you.
religious house is a bad thing. Like, it
No,
does give you a good sense of morals. And I think that's a really
oh
important
yeah.
thing to have today.
Oh yeah. Kelly Williams says, my brother brought me home a deck of tarot cards about a month ago. I have no idea how to use them. Well, what you do is you go to Conversations with Christie, and she could probably help you with that or point you to somebody that can.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I have a segment called Just the Tarot, where I do tarot readings, and I go over the cards and I explain them. We're on the tail end of our tarot class, but we do offer a tarot class. There's different levels you
Mhm.
can take to learn the
Yeah.
tarot. But if you just come over to my channel, check it out. That's great.
Yeah.
Soulful Revolution is another great channel to check out
Yeah.
um, for your tarot deck. But and I think I even last season did a show just on tarot. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
This one's
Congratulations.
funny, I think. Davy says, "I'm a witch now, so grab your pearls." I don't have any pearls. I wouldn't grab them anyway. Be like, "My pearls." No. Oh. So Eat More Pizza says, "I need to exercise." But that's different from exorcism. Yeah, it's different. We have some smart Alex on here, by the way.
I love a good smart aleck.
I do too. I do too. And I love that they're listening and engaged in it and feel fine to make
Yeah.
jokes and because
Yes.
that's what it's all about is just acceptance and respect and just all that. So Doing It Deb's Way says, Christy, spiritually, we are on different paths, but from day one of meeting you, I felt your positive, energy and respect that and you. That's very sweet. That's how I feel too. I I don't know. I think I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Like I'm not completely where you're at, but I'm not completely
Yeah.
where I was raised. I'm kind of floating
Right.
around, sometimes probably closer to you, and then sometimes probably closer
Yeah.
to where I was. And I think that's okay too. I just think wherever we're at, that's where we are. Isn't
Right.
that some kind of saying? Where I'm at is where we are, or I don't know, wherever we are. I don't know. There's
Right.
some kind of something about that. Heat My Shorts says, you're quite well spoken, Christy. I'm looking forward to browsing your content. You seem like a really nice person. Quit.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, there's a lot. If you go to my first season, it's a little more chaotic. My lights kept falling. I was like, oh god.
That's the kind I
So
like.
right. There's a lot of stuff. I made some playlists. There's some stuff from this one. Um, yeah, and thank you. Thank you for saying I'm well spoken.
Aw, Ben Bacon Bit says, Heat My Shorts. Yeah,
Oh,
Christy is really nice. She has been helpful to me trying to figure out experiences. That's cool.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. I love
So
helping people
this
understand that.
this is actually Mischief. She likes to put things up and
Uh,
everybody thinks it's me, but sometimes I'll have my hands up. I'll go, that was not me. But she's hilarious. So she says, pinnacle good, upside down pinnacle, bad, cross. good, upside down, cross, bad. So,
Well,
yeah,
and
they're all
I mean,
good and
yeah,
bad. Yeah,
right,
I get
right.
it. Yeah.
I like to say healthy and unhealthy because good and bad can
Yeah,
make
good and
things
bad,
like
yeah.
fire can be good and it can be bad.
Yeah,
So I have tried, and I really had to train myself how to say healthy, unhealthy. But
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely. I get it. I really do. Okay, this is Nova. She is one of my mods and just the most amazing person. She says, "I didn't really know where to start to learn, so this is awesome." Cool.
Wonderful. Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
I like to
And you're
surround
welcome to
myself with
come.
very nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nova will
and
go over there. Go over there.
you're
Oh,
welcome to come over to my channel and just hang out. You will
mhm.
pick up a lot. There's a lot of really good people over there. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Shuffling your deck while you're
That's it.
listening.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay, Nova again. I'm surprised that she's staying up late. She's in Canada, so she's staying up late.
Oh,
So she says
oh,
it's very yeah, she said it's very interesting. I have to admit I've been curious about it. Me too. Me too, Nova. She and I have really figured out that we are so much alike. It's really I love how you can make connections on YouTube with people that you wouldn't have made those connections with before, and you can think that
right,
you're on completely different paths and different, just everything. Everything's
right.
different, but then all of a sudden it's like we're so much alike, and it's just amazing
Yeah,
to me. I think that I don't know. I think YouTube is amazing. So Lord
it
Kiss Freak
really is.
says, Nova. He's telling Nova, I'm sure Christy would be happy to help you with that. She's amazing. She has a channel too. Um, what is it? Solicitous? Yeah, solicitous. So Mysterious Mayo says tea leaf
Oh,
reading is where I come from. Cool. I've wondered about that too.
yes, yes.
I wonder about a lot of stuff. I'm like,
I
I don't know. I've like,
I don't read tea leaves, but I know people that do. It's very interesting. Mostly
yeah,
I don't read tea leaves because, I'm like, oh, it took me enough to learn tarot. But tea
yeah,
leaf read, yeah, coffee grounds, chicken bones,
yeah,
sticks, runes. Runes is another one. Yeah,
yeah,
and you'll kind of feel your tool of divination. You'll be like, you know what? I
yeah,
really kind of like this.
yeah. So she said,
Yeah.
or Lord Kiss Freak says she has a lot of content. I cannot talk. And I was on her very first live, by the way. Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Mhm. Says, wait, which Casper and Sam are we talking about? Yeah, that is funny. I did talk about Casper the ghost and my ghost Sam. Not the same person. It's not that Sam, not that Casper. But he is my brother. I think of him as a brother. I really do. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's really strange. I have had a ghost named Casper or a ghost named Sam, sorry, and 2 very, very dear friends named Sam. Like, I am strongly drawn to that name, and it was on the top 3 names that I was almost named. Well, Samantha. I was almost called
Really?
Samantha. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice.
It was Samantha, Stacy, and Susie, and she went with Susie, but it was Samantha, Stacy, and Susie. So, it's weird.
Oh, I love that. My buddy dogs just came in. Go with your daddy.
Yeah,
Go with
mine
your
did
daddy.
too. My, I have a I have a English bulldog, and she was over there, like, trying to put her
Oh,
blanket on top of her, so she's just like, you know,
oh,
I
how
don't know why
cute.
she thinks Yeah, my ghost was not an ex-con tattoo artist, no. Wrong Sam. He was he was a Confederate soldier. He might have been doing tattoos. I don't he might have been an ex-con, I don't know, but
It could
yeah,
have been.
you never know. Eat More Pizza says, "Okay, working on a project, keep smiling, everybody." Aw.
Good luck on your
Heat My
project.
Yeah, Heat My Short says, That's really neat, Susie. I don't know what was neat, but thank you. Uh, okay, so here's another one. Oh, it's Nova again. She says, "Oh goodness, there's no way you're going to hell, Christy." I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
Right?
This is funny. Stacia, she just says, "I'm just naughty." She's she just
There you
identifies
go.
as
Hey,
naughty.
I like it.
I'm with you. Yeah, I do too. We should all just identify as naughty.
Right? I think so. I think so.
This is Mischief again. She says, "Are you a good witch or a bad witch?" Glinda.
I mean, it might depend on the day.
Yeah.
No, I would say typically Glenda. Yes, I go to
Yeah. Uh, yeah. That movie was horrifying. Yes.
It was. I think it
Yeah.
traumatized an entire generation.
I think so too. I think so too. So it says, Christy, I think that Marilyn has shared a stream about being forced to watch that as a child too. I think so. I think so.
It
Or, you know,
really,
a teenager anyway. So yeah,
yeah,
in her younger. Stacia says some people point out that Anne Frank didn't believe in Jesus. So should she go to hell? No. See, that's what gets me is that what about people that have never had the option? Like they've never,
right,
there's an awful
yeah,
lot of problems if you go with it. Then that's where I would get in trouble. And I would be like the one that I would go to the preacher and I'd be like, "Okay, I got notes."
right,
What
right.
about
I've
Jewish
got questions.
people? What about
Yeah,
people in these tribes in Africa that never have had it? Is it their fault that it's never been
right,
brought to them? That should not disqualify them,
right.
and so I never can get real answers though, and that's what I don't like is when I can't get good answers because and
Well, and I think it's
I'm
important.
not dissing, I'm not dissing the Christian faith. I am Christian. I'm just saying that I have questions.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think it's important too to understand that the Jewish faith is completely different, and their concept of hell is a whole different concept than the
Mhm.
Christian construct.
Yeah.
Like we said,
Yeah.
if you're in a Christian mindset, you're believing he's coming back when really the Jewish people are
Yeah.
waiting for him to show up. So
Yeah.
even that is night and day, and it's
Mhm.
hard because we see so much through our own lens,
Yeah.
and it's hard to get out of our own way sometimes.
Yeah. So doing it Deb's way says speaking to yourself in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord. Ephesians 5:19.
There
I think
you
that's where you
go.
were. Yeah.
That's what I just made up. That's beautiful.
You
But
just how
how
rattled it
funny
off.
is, right? But how beautiful is
Yeah.
that for this conversation? That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you,
know it
Deb,
is.
for
I
checking
know
that
it
out.
is. So Nova says, "True, Stacia, and I think I we can all understand why she wouldn't. She would be in a position to question it for sure." So I'm not sure what I might have missed something, or I've just like went in a minute. I might go, "Oh, she was talking about yeah." Oh yeah, doing it Deb's way said I did a video talking about that movie. Traumatized me at age 6 or 7. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Mischief says, I saw that at 13 and it scared the hell out of me.
It
I
was
don't know, Mischief.
terrifying.
I think that you still got some hell in you. She's a little bit of a question. Have you ever gotten feelings in a witchy store about a certain deck or crystals, etc.? So,
Yes.
yeah.
So I set the intention when I go into a witchy store that if there's something there for me to find, that I find it. And if not, then I don't. And I actually set that
Mhm.
intention even if I go into the shoe store, right? But
Yeah.
yes, so what we do is like, so I'm going to use my tarot deck here. I would just hold it in my hands and see how I felt about it. And if I was like, oh, this feels like it belongs in my energy, it feels really nice, I would carry it around with me. and maybe even just set it down a time or two. I've even like asked, like I do this in nature a lot, but I've done it with tarot decks. Like, do you want to come home with me? Are you
Yeah.
meant to be my tool? Like I ask, but yes, I absolutely do. I find myself drawn to things, and sometimes I don't really know why I'm drawn to
Mhm.
it, and I could be drawn to something that I don't use for like a couple of years, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, it comes up and I'm like, oh, wait, I have a book about that. Or, oh, wait, I
Yeah.
have that stone. Or, oh, I've got a tarot deck or an
Mhm.
oracle deck around this. So yes,
Yeah.
I do. And then I've had decks that I've picked up and I'm like, oh yeah, you're not for me. And I've just set it
Yeah.
down and moved on down the
Yeah.
road.
See, I do that too, but it's with puppies. I'm like, "Do you wanna come home with me? Do you belong to me?" That's why I have
Right,
4
right,
dogs. I did
right.
it with cows
Oh,
too. I mean, I want that one. I literally, I'm not joking, actually. I saw a cow on Facebook, and I was like,
uh-huh.
"I'm gonna get that cow." It was a, uh, calf. It was little, and I was like, "I'm
Right,
getting
right,
that." I paid that booger out over, like, several months because I was like, "That
right.
cow belongs to me. I have to have
That
it."
is mine. Oh, how adorable.
So,
Baby cows are so
but yeah.
cute.
Oh, I know, and this was a Highland, so,
Oh, those are even
the
more
little furry.
adorable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love those.
Yeah, Mischief says she feels like it's about energy. I do too. That's what I'm
Yeah.
getting from this, is it's about
Yeah.
energy.
It really is.
So, just take it in the kitchen, babe. Just or wherever. I don't care. Thank you. I'll be done in a little bit. Doing it Deb's way said, I had to separate my love and commitment to God from religion. I started going to
Mhm.
church again, but with a different mindset. That's kind of where I'm at now, is like I have
Yeah.
separated God from religion, because to me, God is God, but religion is man to me.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Is religion is man. And again, just like I said with the Bible, it's open to interpretation, and it's open to translation, and it's, all these things. And so I get what she's saying there. And I can
Yeah.
understand that, going back to church again, but with a different mindset. And, maybe that's something that I could do down the road. I mean, you think, I
Yeah.
miss church, I miss it,
Right.
but I
Right.
don't miss the control of it. I don't miss that at
Right.
all.
Right.
So
Right.
Lord Kiss Freak says, and Christy never pushes her beliefs on anyone in her lives. You take what you want out of it and you leave the rest, and she listens to all opinions. I can see that clearly just talking to her tonight, that she's not pushy, she's very open. I I'm glad that we've done this, because I think you're the
Yeah.
perfect person to talk to about it. I think, and for a lot of people that are talking to somebody for their first time, to talk to anybody about it. Kim
Right.
Roy loves
Right.
4 foster kits. So when spirituality becomes organized religion, all hell broke loose for me anyway. Yeah. Yeah, when
Right.
spirituality became organized religion. I have a real problem with organized religion. I say that all the time, and I get some
Yeah.
yeah, I get some grief for it. Some people really get upset with me, but, you know,
Well,
isn't
it's
tarot
a different
isn't
thing.
tarot what Jimena does at the end of her streams? She does, what is it, oracles? Is it oracles that
Yeah.
Jimena does?
Um, I think she might do both. Oracles and tarot are
Mhm,
different. Tarot
mhm,
is 78 cards. All of the cards, you have the same cards in all of the decks, and they mean a specific thing. So
mhm,
strength is always going to mean what strength means. The
mhm,
Three of Swords is always going to mean what the Three of Swords means. Oracle cards are more for guidance. They're open to interpretation. They don't have hard and fast rules to them. So
mhm,
Oracle is more for guidance. Tarot likes to tell a story. Tarot
mhm.
is like to show you the energies and the ebbs and the flows. Tarot is not yes no. Oracle can be yes no. But
Oh,
they're
okay.
all still tools of divination. Yeah, very different. And if you come watch my channel, or if you watch Jimena, in my channel, I use both Oracle and Tarot. I will start out with
Mhm,
Oracle cards to get a feel for where the reading's going, and then I will bring in the Tarot, and then that gives us the story.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So Ben Bacon Bits says, I have bought crystals even though I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure I believe in them. I use them, however, for a symbol, which is in itself is helpful. Yeah, I've bought crystals too. I've got several in there
Yeah.
right now. And I don't know, like they feel healing to me, and I'm not any kind of
Mhm.
I don't know anything about it, but they do. They feel healing to me. They feel
Yeah. Mhm.
grounding, kind of centering. If I'm
Mhm.
feeling kind of
Yeah.
out of sorts, that kind of thing, I'll hold them and I don't pray to them and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, but I'll just like have them and I'll
Right.
roll them
Right.
in my hands, that kind of thing. Just whatever,
Yeah.
put them in my pocket, you know, almost like
Uh-huh.
a pocket
Uh-huh.
hug, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so I've always loved crystals. I still do. I have several necklaces with different crystals on them. And
Right.
yeah, I used to wear them to my little Baptist church, and the preacher would kinda look at me like and I'd be like, "Hey, it's pretty. Leave me alone."
Right.
They
Right.
they did
Right.
not know they did not know what to do with me. They did not they're just like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
you know?
It sounds like
And
it.
I
And
was
on the
and I was a Sunday school teacher and the church secretary and all this stuff, handled all their
uh,
financial stuff, and then they're just probably thinking, "Oh, we are all going to hell."
right. I did want to say on crystals, just a quick note. So, real quick, if you're getting into crystals and you don't know all of the details,
Mhm.
blue is any blue stone is going to represent emotional healing, emotional support. Anything black is going to be protective. Anything clear is going to amplify. Anything pink is going to be love. Anything green is going to be grounding or money. So there's kind of
Mhm.
like just the generic kind of quick
Yeah.
things, but yeah, crystals are beautiful. I carry them in my pot. I'm
Oh, yeah.
constantly washing crystals, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got them stuck everywhere.
Oh, yeah. So let's see here. Incarnasol says, Deb, me too, but I find it very painful sometimes. I see far too much in the limitations in the faith in the church I was once a part of. I understand that. I do. I love that
It's
they talk to each
it's
other
very
too. That they were kind of talking
yeah,
together, so they weren't just like waiting for
right,
us to notice that they were still
right,
there.
right, right.
So,
And it's complicated when you start untangling your belief. For whatever, it
mhm.
doesn't mean that you have to like completely ditch the
Yeah,
Christian faith and become a pagan. But when you
absolutely.
start really looking into things, I believe it's really important that people look into their faith and
Yeah,
why do you believe it? Like, I mean,
yeah,
do you really believe
absolutely.
it, or do you just believe it because your parents
Because you were
believed it and your
told to.
grandparents
Yeah,
believed it? Right. You know?
yeah. This is good too. It is definitely something to be worked out, and that, it can be
Yeah.
hard to work out, and especially if you were raised in the Christian church. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we have to get over fear first, and I think,
Yeah.
you know, I've never been afraid of God. You know how they'll say God-fearing? And I'm like,
Mm.
why do we say God-fearing and that he is your father? Because 'Cause I'm not scared of my
Right.
father. I respect him, but I'm not scared of my dad. And whenever I do
Right.
pray, even the preachers and everybody that I've been around says that it sounds like like they're hearing a one side of a conversation, like on a telephone or something,
Right.
that I'm talking to
Yeah.
my dad. And
Right.
so I don't understand the whole fear. And I think that so much of what really bothers me and some people about the Christian faith is the whole fear. There's
Yeah.
everything is a fear. If you don't do this, if you don't do that, if you don't do this, if you don't, there's all this fear. And it
Mhm.
just like, I think people are looking for something that is more accepting and loving and
Right.
kind, just kind. And again,
Yeah.
a lot of that is man. We're talking
Mhm.
about religion, and that is man. Who's to
Right.
say that God is not? I mean, there's so God is love, God is peace, God is all the
Mhm.
it's man that
Right.
F's it up.
Right.
It's man
Well,
that F's it
and
up.
And even when you look at Jesus, um, Jesus got angry. Jesus,
Yeah.
I mean, and so it just what gets me the most is like, to me, I think what's important is just that you live the life according to your faith, the best as you can, right? and
Mhm.
and I see so many people, and I've seen it throughout my life, even when I was in the church, that were, like, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but like Betty Baptist, who sat in the front row,
Yeah.
of,
No, I know what you
to
mean.
get all of Jesus, right? And then would
Mhm.
be the snarkiest, nastiest, most vindictive person. And I just always, even when I was in the church, I was like, did you miss the part on Sunday where they're like,
Yeah.
you might be the only Bible some people read? Or like, I
Yeah.
promise you, if you were the only person that I seen, I would never set foot in a church. And
Yeah.
and to me, it's like they're just missing the point. And I really just want to ask him, like, in a very nice way, like, why are you here? Like, why are you
Mhm.
there? Is it because you're not living in accordance,
Mhm.
to that? You're not being
Yeah.
that at all.
Just because
But
you're
you
sitting
look
in
good
that
on
pew.
Sundays, though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, oh, I know. I get it. I tell people all the time, because I get a lot of hate from Christians and, questioning my faith, and I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
question yours, but not to your face, probably. I'm gonna pray for you." It's like, but anyway,
Right.
but I've told so many people that it's Christians, like some Christians, that will
Yeah.
chase more people away from than their chase them away from their faith than will ever bring them in, with the way that some
Right.
Christians act. And
Yep.
that's actually heartbreaking, because Christians, it should be about love and kindness and all that. I don't know where it has gotten so far off, but I always kind of imagine God sitting up there thinking, "Oh." Have you seen those? They're like,
Right.
there's these memes of Jesus, and he goes, "That's not what I said." Yeah, that's what I think of
Right.
all the time.
Right.
That is not what I
Right.
said. You know,
Right.
it's
Or he's just
you know,
like,
yeah,
no,
oh
please,
God, yeah,
not you again. Come on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I hear
uh,
it. Yep.
yeah, yeah. It's actually a terrible imbalance that hurts spiritual development. A lot of yeah, there is a terrible. The Christians arrive in the back door or at the back door in a rental car wearing large hats and big sunglasses. That reminds me of the story that I tell about which was funny because there's a winery not far from where we live.
Uh-huh. Oh.
And he was talking about he had the front door and he had the Baptist door. And he said that the
Uh-huh.
Baptist preacher and some of the Baptist people, they come in the back door. They park where you can't be seen.
Yeah.
And, anyway, what was funny was the guy that owned the winery was Baptist, and he owned a winery,
Well,
and I was, like, going and I'm like, "Well, I came in the front door, and I'm actually a Sunday school teacher and the church
right.
secretary." So and he
Well,
was like, you know
it was a Baptist preacher that started a specific kind of whiskey down in or bourbon down in Kentucky.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just so funny. It's
It
like,
is
really, do
funny.
you, like, just be who you are authentically? If you want to have a
Yeah,
glass of wine, have a glass of wine. You know?
yeah. Well, for one thing, it's not like God don't know. Who you hiding it from?
Exactly.
God or
Right?
man?
Right?
You're hiding it from
Right?
man, and there's the problem.
Right.
I you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Ben Bacon Bit says, "Oh, Mischief Manage is using the brand account." I was wondering how in the hell Susie was typing and listening so well. Mischief says, "What do you mean? This is Susie." Yeah. No, it is not. Yeah. Nova says, "Oh my gosh, I thought you knew." Yeah. Susie is gifted. I'm gonna put that one up there. Susie is gifted, y'all. I can type and listen and talk and everything all at this. Just watch my head spin.
Right.
So, uh, I don't know what that means. The lady with the ASLAN. What's that mean? That card? The lady with the. I don't know what you're talking about, Mischief. She'll let us know. I don't know what it means. Oh, here we go. I want nice things. Why can't we have nice things? And looks at Mischief. Mischief runs the world, I'm telling you. No, she doesn't even budge when she types. She doesn't even look down. Well, I don't look down when I type,
Right.
to be perfectly honest. But yeah, she types with her mind. Hey,
Right. There
that's
you
right.
go. There you go.
They're all making fun of me typing now, or Mischief typing for me, actually. The keys obey your thoughts. Yeah, the keys obey my thoughts.
I need to go grab my phone charger real quick.
That's
I
fine.
will be
Yeah.
back. Give me a
Yeah,
second.
that's fine. You guys are cracking me up. I'm gonna pop this one up there so it's there when she gets back. Oh.
This also happens a lot on my channel.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Let's see. Hold on.
Lord,
There we
Lord Kiss
go.
Freak says the
Okay.
force is strong with this one. Yeah. Oh, we have almost nothing but smart Alex on this at this point. That's true.
I love it.
Ben Baconbit says, I am personally, I am finding myself trying to reconcile a couple of belief systems. I agree. I
Mhm.
understand it and have been for a long time. Aw. True wave energy
Oh,
meditation says Christy is the
sure.
best. Oh, Nova went and subbed to you. So that's good. Nova
Yeah,
subbed to
thank you.
you. And True Wave Energy Medallion said that she's part of Christy's crew.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, I heard some familiar names. I was like, okay, I know them.
Yeah. Marilee says, truth welcome in some real troublemakers here. Yeah, we got some true troublemakers here. Goot Juice is happy Find the Goodness Friday, everybody.
Yes.
Absolutely. Find the goodness. Yeah, F that guy. Find the goodness.
Hey, you know what? I am solid in the FTG camp, so we're good.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Heat My Short says cows have Facebook profiles there. No, but their owners put them up for sale on Facebook.
And there's some adorable
And
ones too. Oh man.
she was beautiful. She was this like dark red Highland, and she had the prettiest, or has. She's still alive, but
Oh,
anyway, she
right.
has the prettiest blue eyes, and just I mean,
Oh,
I was just like, this little heifer is speaking to me.
right.
Uh, my wife has a cow. It's an Ottoman. Oh, is it one of those fuzzy cows? Is it a Highland? I saw some Ottomans that were fuzzy cows. I call them fuzzy cows, even though I know what they are. Yeah. Oh, here's this one's good too. Hey, Kelly. Yeah, cows have best friend cows. It was a question on game night. It sure was, and I got it right. So here we go. Yeah, what color stones are healing? Like,
Well, it it depends on what you're wanting to heal. So if you're needing to heal anything emotional, you'll want to go with blue. If you're wanting to like heal your heart, you could do pink.
mhm,
It just kind of depends really. And I tell
mhm.
people when they're looking at stones, go to the ones that called to you. Like if
Yeah.
you are, and a lot of times they'll have little pieces of paper that says the name of the stone and then it tells what it
Mhm.
is. And sometimes I'll pick up stones and I won't even know that I need them until a little while down the road. And then I'm digging through
Yeah.
trying to find my stone because we live in an
Yeah.
RV, and so I got like stuff stuck everywhere, and I'm like,
Yeah.
where did I put that? But I would say
Hmm.
blue, pink
Why is
would
this
be
not?
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's this one. Amethyst, used for healing, purifying, and enhancing willpower. I have
The
tons of
amethyst is my
amethyst.
birthstone. Yeah, that's my
Really?
birthstone.
I
Yes,
love
yes.
amethyst. I have those they're all over my house. So
There's a stone called a chevron amethyst that is really good to activate your third eye. And it's
really?
a really pretty stone. Yeah, so it's like purple like an amethyst, and then it's got like bands of white and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah,
sounds
it's
pretty.
really cool.
Kim Roy says, I sleep with an amethyst stone wrapped in my pillow every night. My mom told me it keeps bad dreams away and helped me sleep better. That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is really awesome.
Great.
Kelly says, people need to know that just because you claim to be a Christian doesn't mean that you are to be held to such high standards. We don't claim that we are perfect. That's right. Or
Right.
at least, the ones that I know of that they shouldn't claim to be
Right.
perfect anyway. Says
I
Ben
say
Bacon
that
that
on my
says,
channel a lot.
yeah, it's fascinating though. I have a clear crystal. I could have sworn it was lighting up. And so I took pictures of it on my phone and sent it to Christy and my neuroscience friend. It's more lit up in the photos. I don't know. Again, this is one of those things where, Susie's weird and I have these I have it like it they called it a charging stone or something, and it's just like a flat deal. And they told me to put my crystals on that stone, and so I do that all the time and charge my crystals. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that is anything. See what I mean about how weird I am though? I'm like
Yeah.
I do all these like
No,
weird things, but like,
it's
I'm not
not
the
weird.
typical.
Selenite.
No.
No,
Yeah.
selenite is
What
really
what
good
I
for.
mean by weird is just, that I'm not your typical Christian. I look at all kinds of different things. And
Right.
my friends are like, "Okay, she's what is she doing?" But yeah, I
No,
believe
that's
I do. I think that they have energy. I
they
really
do.
I believe that
Yeah.
I believe you're I like this one. Goot Juice says we are all works in progress. I believe
Yes.
that. I
Yes,
do.
we are.
Some of us need a lot more work than others. This one right here. I need a lot of work. So Mischief says that is the end of chat.
All
She is like
right.
shutting us off. She is like that's enough. Oh, is Sam in here too? Because I saw somebody said, Sam, there's no crying in baseball. Hey,
Ah,
Sam. Yeah, after the bars is in here. That's my brother. He's my brother.
nice.
Him and Tom, knife hoarder. I always
Yeah.
say those are
Yeah.
my two brothers.
Aw.
I've never been addicted to anything, other than maybe chocolate and the sun, perhaps. But
Right.
I get so much out of listening to Tom talk about his journey from addiction and how he got
Yeah.
clean and how he stays clean and all that. And I
Mhm.
just think that I don't know, it just like hit me on such an absolutely personal,
Right.
deep, deep level. And it's like, it was weird because, like I said, I've never been addicted to anything. I mean, knock on wood,
Right. Right.
um,
Right.
but it's so strange that that would have such a impact on me. And yeah, some people were griping and like calling me names because I had actually put on one of somebody's page and I said, I just love knife hoarder. Well, which I do love him, but it was taken out
Right.
of context to sound weird. What I was talking about, he had just told this big story about his, getting clean and all that. And I was like
Mhm.
literally in tears and I'm like, I just love knife hoarder, just like crying and,
Right.
and all
Right.
excited. And then it was used against me. I'm like, shut up. Just like,
Right.
it's like, well, we're supposed to love people. We're supposed to love them.
Right. Well,
So,
and what a beautiful
aw,
story he has of overcoming all of that too. I mean, to go through everything and to
mhm.
not hide it, and to be,
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest about where you were and who you were. And I mean, honestly, guys,
yeah,
let's be honest. Who of us is the same as we
Yeah,
were 25 years ago. And if you are,
absolutely.
you probably need to do some self reflection. I mean, I
Yeah.
just lovingly suggest that if you've not
Yeah.
changed in 25 years, you might you
Oh,
might maybe want to think about that. But I think it's beautiful because it gives people hope. It,
I
and
do
you know,
too.
like
I do too.
our stories, I mean, truly, I really believe at the end of the day, we're all just walking each other home. Now,
Yeah.
whether that's home to heaven or hell, or home to purgatory,
Mhm.
or home to paradise where you hang out for a little while to come do it all
Yeah.
again, we don't know what it looks like. But,
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot for somebody to be like, this is my, and shall I just say, somebody who truly is in recovery and who truly is giving truthful
Mhm.
advice to people, not trying to con and scam them out of their money. And I love
Yeah.
it. I love it when he's
I do
like,
too.
my go fund yourself. It's like,
Yeah,
yes,
I
go
love
fund
that.
yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I
it's
love it
beautiful. And
too.
like, and honestly, who cares about some tattoos? Who cares about, like,
Yeah.
if he was still that person, that would mean something, and it means something to
Well,
him. And
he has
tattoos
he has
do.
said, he has said that that is not him, that it really wasn't
Right.
him, that this was a
Hmm.
prison thing, and I just did a live
Yes.
just a couple days ago on why people keep prison tattoos and stuff, and it was very eye-opening to me, and I thought, "Well, a lot of people
Mhm.
needed to watch that. A lot of people need to just
Yeah.
hear it." And it just goes
Right.
back to stop judging people. Same with
Yeah.
you know, here I sit, a Christian, it's a little, woo woo. And there you sit, and yet look at us. This has been a beautiful
Yeah.
conversation, and the people in the chat they've enjoyed it, and I think it's
Right.
great. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So
I
I
do
I
too.
think that we're gonna call it a night if that's all right with everybody else. I have enjoyed this so much. Please come back again
Yeah.
and visit with us. I
Oh,
I just would love to have you do that. And
yeah.
anytime, anytime. And
Yeah.
you know,
Let me know. And
maybe we
I
can get
just
some
have,
others together too. Like we could get Jimena and some
yeah,
of the others that do it and just have like a whole we
right.
might get, you know,
Absolutely.
we might get who knows what kind of comments, but we don't care.
Right. Well, and I just want to leave everybody with one thought.
Okay.
If you believe that this is the only life that you get, if you don't believe in reincarnation, if you believe this is one and done, please go make it the best life that you possibly can, because I promise
Absolutely.
you, your higher power did not put you here to be miserable, to be, struggling. And those are all human things that we do. But please go make your life absolutely as amazing as you can. If this is the one shot you get in this world,
Yeah.
live it every day to the fullest. And if you believe in reincarnation, then please heal those generational things, learn your lessons, have those beautiful experiences. That way, the icky stuff you don't have to go through again, and the good stuff you can
Yeah.
keep and remember. But above all, and this is how I always end everything on my channel, I say, go conquer your world as only you can. We'll be here to help you light the way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
you. It's been an
And
honor.
thank you. And I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, and I'm gonna say goodbye to my chat and everything, and we will be talking soon. So,
Okay, that sounds
okay.
amazing. All right,
Okay, thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for being here. So, guys, that's a wrap on absolutely one of the most interesting conversations that I have had in a long time. So, honestly, whether you were nodding along or raising an eyebrow or whispering, "Jesus, take the wheel," I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the ones that will come in later for the replay. And just know that this show has been about love, and that means different things to different people. And we are not saying that Christians are wrong. I'm a Christian. We're not saying that anybody is wrong. We're saying, just lead with love and understanding and respect. So I just appreciate you all being here. There is one thing, you know, we don't have to agree on everything. We just don't. But we can have a respectful, meaningful conversation. And I truly believe that we learn and we actually grow in life when we talk with people and not about people. So that's why I wanted to have Christy on here, is I wanted to talk with her and not just about, not just her, but like people that do tarot and all those things. I wanted to talk with somebody that really knew, that I trusted to tell us how it was, the real truth. And I know so many people that respect her so much that I knew she was the right one. I also completely trust Jimena. I think that, if you can't go wrong with talking to either one of them. So, to my guest, Christy, I thank you for being here, for being so open and so real. And to all of you for watching, I just say thank you. Thank you for listening to another perspective, for giving our guest a chance. And if it changed absolutely nothing in your life, that's fine. And if it did, that's fine. We're not here to change anything. We're just here to say, hey, there's different ways to look at things and different ways to see the same things. And that doesn't mean anybody's right and it doesn't mean anybody's wrong. So I'm going to let you go with that. I love all of you. I am so happy to have gotten to talk to Christy, and we really will. We'll have to get together with her and Jimena and some others and have some more conversations like this, because I think they're very healthy. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you soon.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those